Hey gang, happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday, right? Days are running into each other right now as time is flying. I'm trying to make sure this is really actually going live. It is. Okay, it's there. Now, can you hear it? Don't know. Make sure.
It's Tuesday, right?
Okay. It can be heard and it's actually live, because the other day I taped a whole live and it wasn't live. So anyway, I know this is a really weird time of day to go live, and I know a lot of you will be watching this on the rerun, and that's fine, but I need to do it now because it's it just happened and it's just it's here. So I've just sat in my car and bawled for the last, I don't know, 45 minutes. 45 minutes, so that may be what this looks like, but not bad tears. Not bad tears. Really, really happy tears. And sad tears and all the emotions together. So most of you know, if you're in my real life on any level at all, you know I'm struggling. I'm struggling emotionally. I'm struggling, worried about our programs, our Friends Together programs, where the money's going to come from, how we're going to survive everything that's happening. I'm struggling, worrying about all my folks losing meds and benefits, and I'm internalizing all kinds of stuff, and it's one of those things that heal or heal thyself. I'm you guys know I'm a person people come to, and sometimes all the time, that's fantastic. That's great. Don't not come to me because of this video. But sometimes those of us that are in that position, sometimes we find ourselves not practicing very good self-care. And that's me. But this weekend, I had just a low point. On Saturday, I wasn't feeling good. I've been so tired lately. I'm just worn down, and I took a 4-hour nap on Saturday, and that doesn't happen. And then I went to bed early. But in the course of that day, I had this really emotional period, and I just said to God, if you are listening, I really, really need a sign from you that things are going to be okay, and that what we do is important, and that what we have done is important. I need something. I need something to hold on to. Now, don't think that I don't have those signs all the time. I know what we do in Africa is important because I see it every day. I know what we do is important, but there's just times in your life that you find yourself doubting yourself. And is it worth it? Is it worth the physical energy? Is it worth the spiritual energy? Is it worth all the time that sometimes I miss with my family, or over the years that I've missed with my kids when they were young, or all those things just kind of come into you, and you look around and you see that other people seem to just have these lives that just manifest. And so I really did. I truly just said, God, I need a sign. I need something. And that was Saturday. And so Sunday was a normal day, and yesterday was a normal, long Monday. Mondays are long, but I've been so grateful to have a friend that's been letting me stay at their place so that I'm not driving back and forth and that kind of stuff. And so last night I had gone to bed kind of early and was laying in bed, and I started thinking about the weekend, and I said, that is so not right to not trust what is true, right? And I think we all do that at times in our life. And I'm not trying to be super religious here. All of you know that I am, but I'm not super religious, that whole thing. But I do know we're not supposed to ask God why. I do know that. My daddy's a Methodist minister, and I grew up hearing that lesson a lot. So last night I was like, I am that was just kind of selfish. I know what we do is important. So today, fast forward to today, and I had my normal morning class, and a bunch of people were missing, and I was kind of ranting to a friend about the fact that people don't even text to say they're not coming to class, that sort of thing. But it was okay, whatever. I went to breakfast, and then I stopped at the Dollar Tree, and then I went to a treatment facility that I teach at I have a lot of treatment facilities that I go to and do different programming, but this program happened to be smoking programming. But I do HIV and domestic violence and all kinds of stuff at different treatment programs across the state. So I got there, and so we were going to have 9 students today, and they were all fairly new into this facility. They all see me the first few weeks they come into this program. So they had all their paperwork to fill out, and I was sitting there talking to their facilitator person. We're good friends, and we're just kind of chatting. And one of the young women, I say young, she was 42. So I guess when you're turning 60, that's young. One of the young women said, I don't think this patch is helping me. She wasn't even done her paperwork. They gave me too little of a patch, and you could tell she was edgy, and she was shaking her foot, and she's fairly newly into the program, and people are uncomfortable. Withdrawing from nicotine is uncomfortable. Withdrawing from any other substance is uncomfortable. You're not necessarily there because you want to be there. You're there because you got to be there sometimes. Sometimes you're there because you want to be there. But anyway, she was just, uncomfortable. But I'm used to that. So I get their paperwork turned in, and we go around the room, and they introduce themselves. I ask them the same questions always. What kind of nicotine do you use? How old were you when you started? Where are you from? And what kind of work do you do when you work? Because I, try to get to know them just a little bit. So she was the second person in the line of people to answer that question, and she just answered it matter-of-factly and went on. So we got through that, and then I went to introduce myself to them. So when I introduce myself to folks in these type facilities, I do tell them part of my backstory, because I want them to understand that I am here to talk about nicotine, but not to judge you, and to know that I understand what trauma brain is and that sort of thing. And so, I said I work for AHEC, and I live in Fort Myers, and I used to live in Lakeland, and blah blah blah. And I said, but my real story is. And so I got 6 words into my real story. I got to the part of when I was young in college, and she raised her hand and she stopped me and she says, "Is your last name Robinson?" And I only go, there by my first name, and I said, "Well, it's one of them." It's one of them. And she says, "Oh my God. Oh my God." And she says, she just starts, she cries, and she says, "I've never forgotten you." She says, "I've told my daughter about you. I've never, ever forgotten you." And she said, "The first time I saw you was at Avon Park Middle School, and then I saw you every year until high school. And I left at high school time. I moved to somewhere else." And she's 42. So she'd have been 11, 12, 13. And she says, I told my daughter about you. I've always told my daughter that sometime maybe she'd be able to meet you. And she said, not long ago, I was talking to my daughter about you. And she said, I she said, my daughter said, Mom, that's been a long time. Meaning that, I'm probably dead, right? And so everybody got emotional. The boys were quiet, which is, that doesn't happen. So I was like, oh my God, you've made my entire week. So I took that as my sign, right? I don't need any more. I got a sign. Oh no, God was going to show out today, right? So I try to start back with the story, and as I do, this other woman on the other side of the room says to me, oh my gosh, you used to come to, and she named a facility that she had been in before. And this woman's a little older, and I said, well I did. That was a long time ago. My friends together, we used to do about 150 schools and different facilities a year, middle schools, high schools, and college. And I've done about 15,000 schools and presentations in those schools over the years. And so it was just incredible. It was just incredible because right there. And so the young woman, the first young woman, we'll go back to her. Obviously, they run a program, so I'm not using anybody's names. But went back to the first young woman, and so I haven't gotten through the story, right? Oh, I see Susan's on. Hi, Laura. Hi, Susan. You may stay on, Susan. So I get back to the story, and she says to me, hey, do you still have the quilt panels? Your husband, he always, would show the quilt panels and talk about the quilt panels. And I said, well, the quilts still exist, and, I don't work with them anymore necessarily, but I absolutely tell people how they can access it and see it and all of those things. And so I said, but, my husband has passed away. And so then I have to tell that part of the story, which is not something I, normally have to add into this facility, right? So, but I did, because obviously we're not talking nicotine at this point. We are not talking nicotine. We are talking life, right? And so not only had this young person, she's 42 now, but she'd been 11. What we did as friends together 30 years ago made that much difference still today. And I know that. I see that in our Friends Together kids all the time. And I run into people that say, oh, I saw you smoke when. But to find two people in a place like this that go, I've never forgotten you. These are people that have forgotten their own family and friends, okay? These are people that have forgotten a whole lot of things and done a lot of things in their life, right? And I just was so blown away by it, and everybody else in the room pretty well was too. So I wound up telling my whole story because that's what needed to be done. And then we talked about tobacco, and we made arrangements for her to know where she could, when she gets out, bring her daughter to meet me and where I teach locally, and because she happens to live close enough to do that. And but it was just what I needed to know, that no matter what, we're going to be okay. And we are going to find the money we need to make our programs work, and we are going to keep doing the education that we do. And yeah, we may not get to go into schools anymore the way we used to with the political stuff and everything else, but you know what? We're still doing these kinds of places, and we are still making that difference in people's lives every day, and in people that need it more than anybody else. Because what I ended the class with these folks was that the one thing I hope I offer to you today is that no matter what happens, no matter what bad choice you may have made, or no matter what bad choice may have been made for you before you were old enough to make choices, you are here now. And as long as you wake up tomorrow, there is a chance for a better life. Now, I know deep in my heart that because of the amount of emotion in that room, that this young woman had a real reason for remembering me. And what I know is when we speak in places, and those of us that, you guys that speak for me in places when I ask you to go, or that sort of thing, when you make it okay to say you have HIV, they may not can say it out loud. They might not can say my mama has HIV or my daddy has HIV, but the fact that somebody can stand up and say it, and they can go, I'm not alone in the world. That's what that emotion looks like. And that's what we've done. That's what we've done. So for every single one of you that watch this today or tomorrow or next week or next year, if you've helped Friends Together in any way, know that those are the things we've done. Lisa, you buy candy, and you do, and it makes a big difference. Every piece of it makes a difference. Every single little piece of what we do makes a difference. And Susan, if you're still on, I don't know what you think when you watch these. I hope that it's good thoughts, and I just want you to know that Steve's legacy has lived on in such a way that I can't put it into words, and I think you're part of the sign that you're on here today. So I love you all. I love every single one of you so much, and I cannot do any of this without y'all. I can't do one single thing that I do without all of you helping us do it. And so just know, if you're looking for a sign, ask for it. I think it'll probably appear the same way mine did. But we're going to be okay, and we are going to survive all this transition crap and political BS, and we're going to just keep doing what we do, because that's who we are. So I love you all. We are, let me look, I don't even know. We are either 34 or 33 days. We are 33 days, and we are so not ready. So just in case you live anywhere near local, on Sunday is packing day and sorting day, and we would love to have you there if you wanted to come. So Sunday's gonna be packing and sorting day, and yep, we still need stuff. We still need money, and we still need over-the-counter meds. That would be any kind of pain relievers and muscle creams, and we still need soccer balls, and that sort of thing. So the Amazon list is live still, but those are the things we need most. And money is always champion, because we can buy the things, and when we buy the things, we can buy them in bulk and get them on sale and all of that good stuff. So anyway, I love you all. Hi, Anita, I see you too. I can't see everybody. It can only see when people pop on it first. And so, but take good care. Tell the people you love them, and give them that hug. And because we never know what tomorrow is.